When it comes to human flourishing, circumstances are just as important as the things we do. We have to pay attention to them, and that's what I'm going to get at in this week's spiritual exercise. So a fascinating study was done on seminarians, where they took a group of seminarians and they gave them the task of completing a talk on the Good Samaritan. So they gave it, they were researching it, they would be giving the talk. What they did then is they split this group up into 3 groups. One that was on time, one that was very early, and one that was late, so they'd be in a hurry. So they gave them the talk, Good Samaritan, so you know the story, right? The person is in need along the road. Does somebody stop? The person who stops is the Good Samaritan. So they see along the way, they set up a person who was in need of assistance, somebody who's in duress. And what they found was depending on the circumstances, people would respond differently. The people who had plenty of time, that were very early, they would stop and help the person. The persons that were on time, sometimes they would stop, sometimes they wouldn't, but statistically, they were less likely to stop. And then the people that were in a hurry, that had no time to spare, they almost rarely stopped. So that's a powerful insight into human behavior, because what we fail to take into account a lot of times in the spiritual life is the importance of circumstances. I've seen it so often with myself and with other people, that given certain circumstances, we can behave very nobly or very poorly. And the key often is to cultivate good circumstances in our lives, to surround ourselves with good people, and try as much as possible to cultivate those possibilities for growth, that environment in which both us and our families can grow and flourish. I want us to consider that when we read this Sunday's reading, the gospel. Jesus gives us the parable of the seeds and the sower. So there's this idea that the seed is the same, God's grace, the Word of God, but it depends on the circumstances whether that seed will grow and flourish. There's the good soil, there's the rocky soil, there's the stuff that falls along the path. What we want to do is we want to, as much as possible, make those circumstances for flourishing, especially if we have families, especially if we have workplaces, we're leaders. We want to create the conditions for human flourishing. So what I want us to do is to do an examination around the circumstances that we have some influence over in our lives. Are we creating good circumstances that lead to human flourishing? Amen.